Welcome everybody to the Waking Hypnosis Show. I have John Cleesattel on with me today as my guest. Freudian slip there. Welcome, John. So I was just telling John before we came on that this is not a formal interview. As a matter of fact, I don't even have any questions prepared. I never wanted these shows to be formal. In my mind, these shows are just, we're talking shop with friends and colleagues, and then you guys can either listen or join in the conversation. And the more interactive you guys are, the better it is. So, because we can just, there's more stuff to talk about. So, most of you probably, you may not recognize his name, but you know his protocol. He has the smoking cessation protocol that's really famous. I'm always hearing all the time that smoking cessation protocol that works. I want that. Who does that? I'll say that's John Cleesattel. Let me get you the link to that. So welcome, John, to I don't want to call it a show, just welcome. Welcome
to our program. Yeah.
Welcome to our program. Welcome to our very informal program where I try to not be very, as you can tell, I try not to be very professional. I just want this just to be a laid back and fun environment. And we have a couple of people coming on already, and they're saying hi, Stephanie and John. And
hello.
I can't see who's commenting right now. It just says comments from somebody from Facebook. So if you want to put your name in the comments and let me know who you are, then we can say hi back to you. All right. And so we'll just wait for them to say hello. And usually in the very first few minutes, there's not a lot of people coming on. And then within the next couple of minutes, we'll have a lot more people come and join us. So tell me how you've been doing and what's been going on with you lately.
Well, as you know, it's been 2 years now. I moved up to Missouri from Fort Worth, where I had my office for about 10 years. I didn't know
you were in Missouri. I thought you were still in Fort Worth.
Oh, no, I moved to Missouri 2 years ago.
I did not know that. Okay.
Yeah, we're preparations for my wife to retire. And I'm to the point to where I'll always do hypnosis, but it's on the side and it's very low key. My advertising now, is built from my website. I have a little sign in the front yard, and every now and then I give out a business card. But other than that, that's it. I get okay clientele as far as numbers go. It's supplemental at this point rather than primary income. Like I said, I'm retired. I'm getting Social Security. I'm able to have my office in my basement. I have a finished basement.
Nice.
So
that's nice.
I have pretty much zero overhead business.
That's awesome.
So anything coming in is gravy.
Yeah.
But I love doing it so much. Like I said, I'll always do it. But now I'm just able to do it on my terms.
And that's the only way to do it. Anything, right? That's the best way to do it, on your terms. So I'll just let the viewers know that I met you, John, back in 2009? 2009, yeah, at Richard Nongard's Dallas Hypnosis Convention.
No, he did that one in 2011. We actually met before that down in San Diego at Kevin's pain clinic or pain class.
I think you're thinking that wasn't me. I never took that class.
I thought you were there. Maybe not. This was back around 2009, 2010. So maybe we just.
That looks like me. That people always say, "I swear I met you before," or "You were at this class," or "You were at this class."
Yeah,
together.
Actually, there is someone who does resemble
like
you.
A lot of people. Somebody is out there is my doppelganger. Also a hypnotist, evidently.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I haven't heard from her in a while. I don't know if name escapes me at the moment. Like I said, I'm a senior citizen now. My memory ain't what it used to be. But
High
anyway,
take.
yeah, back then at Richard Nongard's deal, I did his for 2 years.
Yeah, we met it because you just happened to be sitting at my table, and that was the first time that I met you, and I met James Hazelrig during that conference. And then there's another lady named Nancy. Do you remember her last name? Who was at her table? Anyway.
I've slept since then.
Okay. Okay. So, and then that was the first time I knew about your protocol because you basically gave it to me or you sold it to me or something. And I kind of put the protocol just it's, didn't think much of it because I got a ton of stuff that weekend and I just kind of whatever stuck it. You get those little tote bags or whatever. I think it just stayed in the tote bag for a while. Yeah. And then I was like, I was doing my smoking cessations and they were like, they were kind of hit or miss and I wasn't feeling very confident. And then I start hearing this buzz about this smoking cessation protocol that really works and gets really great results and blah, blah, blah. And then I realized what they're talking about, that it was your protocol that you gave me. And then so I started using it myself and I became one of your biggest fans.
That's always nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole way that came about, I went through a pretty heavy upheaval with my hypnosis training. I was trained by, one of these guys who had been doing it for 20 years. That was one of the reasons I went to his school. He had the Hypnosis Institute of Texas. And, for all you know, when you're going in, 20 years, okay, he's got to know his stuff, right? And so he taught me what he taught me. He taught me the 3 words that start any hypnosis trance is close your eyes. Mm-hmm. So I learned from him and I got a couple of scripts from him and, I went on to learn, and he was very adamant about don't try and figure out how it works. He says, it'll drive you nuts. So for the first year, I used what he gave me. I got mediocre results with stopping smoking. And of course, I thought I was pretty hot. But when I started realizing that I started keeping statistics on what I was doing, and I realized that, this isn't as effective as it needs to be. And I didn't understand why not. Well, my prior life was spent as a systems analyst. So I figured, what the hell? They said don't try and figure out how it works, but I can't use it if I don't know how it works.
Right. Yeah.
So which end of the gun do I hold,
I do too. So
anyway, so I decided to use, my 20 years of knowledge and experience about processes.
Yeah.
And started breaking hypnosis down in that way. Mm-hmm. It became apparent right away the reason you can never, and I'm going to underline the score, never be able to do any scientific type experiments is because it's a subjective experience.
Yeah.
You can't prove it and it can't be witnessed. You can witness results. It's like electricity. You can see the lamp come on, but you're not seeing the little current itself.
In the air, yeah.
So in system analysis, you identify what exists first as a process, and then you break the process up and you find out, especially if the process is intermittent, they're not working, you find out what has to be there in order for it to be successful. And so that broke down, and my journey through doing that was the first book I wrote, The Nature of Trance, to where I figured out, this is what it is. And that's when I realized the majority of the hypnotists out there also had no clue. Right. And then, I started, well, why is that? And then I stopped and realized that really all our training is, for all the fancy names and organizations, and, that we have, it's still one hypnotist teaching another. So it's a matter of, it's not because I say it's that way, it's because my teacher said it's that way. Or my teacher wrote a book and his book says it's that way.
Right.
There's my proof. So I did something that James Haslerig made a comment on when he reviewed my book. I threw the baby out with the bathwater. I threw it all away and started over.
Wow.
Well, I found out that too much stuff was being misinterpreted.
Yeah.
What people considered the conscious mind, what people considered the subconscious mind, the superconscious mind, the ego, the id, all of those things that I really didn't understand. Okay, those terms. I said, if I don't understand them, then they're useless. So like I said, I threw them away and then started a year's worth of experimentation, a year's worth of research, a year's worth of gathering data. And when I had a sample size of 100, I started building my model, finding out what was required, what wasn't required. And I found out it's a lot different than a lot of people think. And that's true to this day. Anytime anybody's been in hypnosis for a while, I know how it works and it works fine for me. Even if it doesn't work fine for me all the time, that's okay because that's expected, yada, yada, yada.
It's even subjective to the hypnotist as well.
Exactly.
Not just the client.
I always maintain, and I have ever since I started, that no matter how else hypnosis works, it works this way too.
Yeah.
Well, they call it definably and repeatably. So then I broke it into component level, wrote the second book called the Hypnosis Mechanica, the Mechanisms of Hypnosis. And when I applied this way back, let's go back before the books with the Stop Smoking Protocol, when I realized that direct suggestion was, really, it's a placebo effect. That's how it works. But there were extenuating issues. There were triggers, okay, for lack of a better word. Now, we all know that 20-30% of the population are very easy subjects. And you tell them, the earth is going to stop spinning in 5 minutes, and their eyes are going to get big in 5 minutes.
Somnambulist, yes.
Yeah. But the majority of the people aren't.
Yeah.
So those were the ones that I wanted to target. Finding out that Stop Smoking was not about nicotine, which was surprising to me with all the money and advertising and products getting people to, get off of nicotine. That's how I quit. I quit with the patch before I ever got into hypnosis. And that's, I did it. Bottom line is, Richard Nongard always says, you don't need anything to quit smoking. You just need to not put them in your mouth. So, in the end, there it is. It's actually the person quitting and not, the hypnosis. All we're doing is making it easy.
Right.
So when I figured out that smoking was a triggered event.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then how do we break the triggers? Well, first we've got to know what the triggers are. There is no generic list.
Right.
So who knows? My philosophy from being a systems analyst is to find the expert on any process are the people that are doing it.
Right.
They're the expert. So I did, my philosophy was ask the expert. What are you experiencing here? Well, that's the data I gathered.
Yeah.
So then once I figured out what it was going to take to break the triggers, okay, come with a list of triggers, yada, yada, yada. And it turned out to be very effective. Is it 100%? No, because we don't affect free will.
And nothing is 100% effective when you're talking about the psyche anyway.
Yeah.
Or maybe anything at all. What is 100% of, you know, like.
There is no black or white, 0 or 100. It's all gray.
Even a doctor removing somebody's spleen, I mean, they could do it, the same way on 100 patients and not get the results 100 on all 100 of them. So.
Right. But in figuring out, what had to be part of the process, is literally figuring out what has to happen in a certain segment. Like, if you're going to get a drink of water from a glass, one of the requirements is the glass. What else needs to happen? Water has to go in the glass. Okay.
That's the first step. The water has to be in the glass, right?
It has to happen in order for it to get the drink. So that's how systems analysis works.
Okay.
You figure out what has to be there. Then you take a look, see, is that what's there?
Rid of all the unnecessary
exactly.
Stuff around
Exactly. It. Yeah. So if you like, I like to share my model with everyone. It's actually the pre-talk I give all my clients. They know going in also. And I tell them it starts with hypnosis is possible because of two natural abilities we have. The first natural ability is our ability to automatically react to outside input without involving the intellect. When I'm talking to my clients, I ask them, when you were driving over here, were you focused on operating the machinery? You didn't know. You were thinking about where you were going, what you were going to do, and everything else. You just automatically reacted the way you learned how to do. We learn how to automatically react through repetition. We do something over and over and over again until we can do it without even thinking about it. And then I asked them, have I told you this before? Have I gone through my pre-talk before?
You have with me, but not with my followers.
Okay. Well, any of the viewers out there, what I ask them to do is I tell them, I'll give you an example. Okay. Or actually, I ask them, how many times would you need to do something over and over and over till you could start doing it automatically?
Mm-hmm.
And I get all kinds of answers, 10, 20, I heard it's 30 days, all these things. And I tell them, no, it's 3 times, 3 repetitions. It starts becoming automatic.
I've heard. Yeah.
Okay. And then I offer an example. And if you would, Stephanie, so the people can play along out there also.
Sure, I'll play.
If you would spell the word stop.
STOP.
Spell shop.
SHOP.
Spell crop.
CROP.
What do you do when you come to a green light?
Oh. My first reaction was to say stop, but okay. I know it's go.
Yes, but, green. Like I said, that's why I asked if you've gone.
But that it was the first thing about to come up out of my mouth.
Even when they say go, I said stop jumped in your mind, didn't it? Yeah. Because it's an old joke, actually. But that's why the joke works.
I even knew that it was an old joke, and so I was watching for it. But I think had I not been prepared for that, I think I would have said stop for sure.
And that also goes to show that even though you don't want it to be automatic, it starts becoming automatic anyway.
That's right.
Okay. So once you have that, okay, then you stop and think about what they call.
That's such a great example too. That was.
Stop and think about what they call a yes set.
Yeah.
Okay. Pacing and leading.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Which are just suggestions.
Right.
Anyway, so I think the reason we have this ability to automatically react to outside input without involving the intellect is to compensate for a limitation we have to only be able to consciously focus our attention on one thing at a time. Think about 2 people trying to talk to you at once. You can be aware they're both there, be aware they're both making noise, but in order to find out what they're saying, you have to focus your attention on them, and you can only do so one at a time. It's why they don't want you to text and drive.
Right.
My metaphor for texting and driving. Going down the highway, shut your eyes, take the hands off the wheel.
You're probably doing that, yeah, if you're texting, for sure.
So now it's this ability to focus our attention. Huh? What was that?
I was just, don't text and drive, people.
Yeah, there you go.
That's our PSA now.
I think the reason that we have the ability to focus our attention like this, it helps enable the hypnotic trance state. In my model, the hypnotic trance state manifests whenever the focus of attention is inside the body, like feeling something. Mm-hmm. And what you're experiencing is being provided to you by your imagination in reaction to suggestion instead of what it normally does, which is sensory. Let me tell you a little bit about the imagination. Most people think their imagination is just their creative side, the part of them that comes up with all these neat ideas and solutions. But I found that the imagination plays a much larger role in our day-to-day lives. It appears to be the base purpose of the imagination is to provide us with an understandable representation of what we experience and what we encounter. Nothing screws us up more if we don't know what that is or what's going on.
Right.
Okay? It does this in a couple different ways. Number one, it provides an understandable representation of what our senses tell us. We don't get direct input from our senses. It's interpreted.
Right. Everything is interpreted. Right.
And as an example for that, I asked him if you ever had a cut, a scrape or a bruise that you discovered. And then when you did, how did I do that, right? And also, as soon as you find it, it's ow. Now it hurts. Well, that's actual tissue damage that you were unaware of when it happened because your focus of attention was elsewhere. You literally didn't know it was damaged. And because your body didn't know it was damaged, it didn't know it was supposed to provide the caution signal, the pain signal. So, but another way the imagination does it is sometimes we don't have all the information. So the imagination will act as a comparator to memory to look for the closest match of what we've experienced in the past. That's why we can pull patterns out of things, see faces and shapes and clouds. It's all our imagination trying to make sense of our world to us. Okay, one of the things that it's linked right to our survival. Okay, once again, hypnotic trance state, focus of attention inside the body, the imagination providing reaction to suggestion instead of sensory. What literally happens is we lose the ability to tell what's real and what's true. Mm-hmm. I've since found out that that's because our peripheral awareness shuts down. What provides us with our reality? It's our peripheral awareness. It lets us know where we are, what we're doing, what's going on around us, all of the things, looking for something that we might have to pay attention to. Okay. Mm-hmm. If that goes away, the imagination is used to using that to provide us with reality information. But that goes away, then it starts desperately looking for something to replace it. That's why it will react to suggestion. It's outside input. And this is about rapport. Does it trust the... an example I put on my website is being the navigator in a submarine. Okay. You've got all these sonars and radars and periscopes and all these things to tell you what's going on while you're underwater.
Right.
And you provide that to the captain, and the captain gives the orders. Now, all of a sudden, all your equipment goes down and the captain faints. The submarine is still underway. Oh my God, I'm not getting any data. What am I going to run into? Yada, yada, yada. And a voice comes from outside the submarine that says, turn left 90 degrees now. Okay, well, you don't know what's going on, but there's got to be a reason, so I'll do it. There's a decision to be made.
Perfect metaphor. I love that metaphor.
Okay. So you turn left, and then you hear obstacle averted. Oh, there was a reason. Resume original course. All right. Then it says turn right 90 degrees now. Well, your resistance to the second suggestion is 1/2 of what it was to the first one. It worked worked once. It should work twice. Turn left. Obstacle averted. Okay. Hey, I'm winning.
That's why it's important to compound suggestions.
Exactly. That's why we need at least 3 repetitions.
Yeah.
That's I'd like to keynote that in there. There's something called the rule of 3s that some hypnotists know and some have never heard of.
Okay.
Rule of 3s tunes into this fact it takes 3 repetitions for something to become automatic. Going to do a yes set, do at least 3. If you're going to hypnotize somebody, it only takes 3 suggestions, and they're yours. Okay? Providing 2 things. Well, let me continue with my pre-talk and all.
Can you just say that it takes 3 sets of repetition For what to become automatic?
Anything you do.
For anything to become automatic. Okay.
Start becoming automatic.
Oh, okay.
So you can start doing it without you engaging the intellect, without thinking about doing it.
Gotcha.
Okay. My smokers, I tell, well, how many repetitions does your smoking behavior have? If you ever lit one up, only find you already had one burning in the ashtray, guess why? Yeah.
Get that right?
So anyway, we enter this condition with the hypnotic trance state where we don't know what's real and what's true, and consequently everything becomes true then. Just like before the age of 7 or 8 when we had to have the talk about Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, and the Tooth Fairy. The reason, or the value, I should say, of this state where everything is true is the second natural ability, which is our ability to automatically adapt to a changing environment. It's one of the reasons we're the top of the food chain. Think about getting into a cool swimming pool or a hot tub. When you first get in, it's, ooh, but then in just moments, we adapt to the new reality. That's how fast we adapt to whatever we believe is real. Hypnotic trance state, everything's real. So if I provide a suggestion and 2 conditions exist, you automatically react to that suggestion. Your body automatically adapts to the new reality. The 2 conditions that have to exist is, number 1, you have to know how to react. If I ask you to start dextroboping, what are you going to do?
Who knows?
I don't know.
Right?
I made up that word.
Right.
I normally provide what the expected reaction is. But the second condition that has to exist is there has to be no reason not to.
Wait, so
excuse me?
First condition is, repeat the first condition is?
You have to know how to react.
You have to know how to react, okay.
Right.
And what's the second condition?
There has to be no reason not to.
No reason not to, okay.
That's your natural protection. There's a part of your mind that never goes to sleep, never goes into trance, always looking for attempts to control you without your permission, trying to get you to do things that you want to do. So if it encounters that, it will stand in the way. But if those 2 conditions do exist, you know how to react and there's no reason not to, you will. Your body automatically adapts. That's what hypnosis is. It's how it works. It's why it works. It's why we get change because of it.
And these are just really the 2 fundamental principles that you base hypnosis on.
Oh, yeah.
The client knows how to react, and there's no reason for them not to react.
That's what is required for the subject to automatically react to a suggestion.
To automatically react. Okay, gotcha.
All right. That
makes perfect sense to me.
Okay, it does to a lot of people. Like I've tutored people on occasion. Well, actually more than on occasion, but most of them from Europe. Evidently their training over there isn't all what it should be. To some people I'm a god. But
you're a god to me, John. Well, you are to me.
Oh, okay. But anyway, that's what I learned. Direct suggestion, it literally is the placebo effect, to where you create a condition where you change the body's reality, or what it accepts as reality, and the body adapts to it. Okay. That's your placebo effect.
Actually, could even be the definition of placebo effect.
Exactly.
Right?
Okay. It's always the body doing it. Even when you go to the doctor and get your pills and stuff. Okay, other than like an antibiotic, everything it's doing is just changing the way you feel, and you're accepting that that's going to fix the problem. And since you believe that, it does. Yeah. Okay. Right. One of the big, speaking of expecting, that was one of the big discoveries I made back when I was doing my research. I heard about the concept of expectancy, and huge. But back then it wasn't. It was just something they figured was part of the hypnosis thing. Okay, they knew, it had to be there, but they didn't know how big of a role it played. And I found out that it's one of the major pillars. I was the one that
It's huge. It's huge. I found that out early on myself.
Yeah. That's and the reason why is because of our adaptive ability again. Um, when we expect something to happen, we prepare for it, both mentally and physically. They even call being pregnant expecting.
Right. True.
Uh,
True.
but when we expect something to happen, the metaphor I like to use is the start of a track and field foot race. The guys on the starting blocks, on your marks, get set, or ready, steady, depending on what country you're in.
Right.
And then they're all keyed up waiting for the go signal.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you've ever seen a false start or something like that, that signal got misinterpreted.
My favorite line is in a moment, but not yet.
Yeah. Well, and I found out that because of that, in a moment were the three most powerful words in hypnosis.
Yeah.
Because that makes it actually three more powerful words than in a moment is are you ready?
Yeah, are you ready?
Yeah, are you ready? That takes a expected event and makes it imminent.
Hypnotized. That's the very last question I ask my client at the end of the pre-talk, right before we do the hypnosis. I say, "Are you ready to be hypnotized?" But by then I've done such a great, phenomenal pre-talk that they're like, yeah, like they're excited, they're pumped to be hypnotized by that point.
Well, I found that in the rest of my pre-talk is just about giving them instructions on what to do.
Right, is that setting the expectation?
But I do use a metaphor, which again works very well. Other than telling them that I only do business one way, all my cards face up on the table. You're going to know what you're going to do, what you can expect to experience, and I'm going to get your approval first each step of the way. But that's my personal style. Okay. Yeah. No verbal clutter, no surprises. Be awake, alert, and aware the entire time. Okay. It's going to be interactive. This is me and you working together to get this done. And I said, probably the big question on your mind is, well, what am I supposed to do? Okay. That was something when I was learning hypnosis that nobody ever told me.
Yeah.
I was fighting myself when I was taking my hypnosis instruction. I had problems being hypnotized because I was fighting myself and didn't realize it because I didn't know what to do. But the metaphor I use is, and I tell them, if I ask you to close your eyes and said, in a moment I was going to touch you on the arm, how would you know when I touched you? And they all go, well, I'd feel it. And then I remind them, well, we just had the talk about the cut, the scrape, or the bruise, which was actual tissue damage that you were unaware of because when it happened, your focus of attention was elsewhere. So what we're really saying is if your focus of attention is elsewhere, I could probably touch you on the arm all day long. You'd never know. The one way you would know is if you focused your attention on how does my arm feel and look for my touch. Then there would be no doubt. And I tell them, well, I'm not going to be touching you at all anyway, but I am going to be suggesting different parts of your body relax. I don't want you to try and relax them. This is not about willful compliance. It's about automatic reaction. What I want you to do is when I suggest a part of your body relax, look for it. And what's literally going to happen is your imagination is going to go, okay, he's looking for relaxation. It's supposed to happen. I'm not getting it from out here. I better provide it. And it will. And then I tell them, when you feel that, let me know by lifting the index finger of your right hand, the I feel it signal. Yeah. That lets me know that everything's working okay and we can proceed. If you don't feel it, don't lift your finger. I got 15 different ways to hypnotize anybody. Most of them are faster than this way. I just use this one because it feels so good.
John, speaking of expectancy, I'm going to interrupt you for a second. One of the best inductions that I've ever run across is your expectancy induction.
That was one that I used to prove that how important expectancy was in how much talk about the one with the colors.
The color induction, expectancy. That is phenomenal. That is a really powerful Induction, and I don't even know if we should even talk about it because I don't want to give it away unless you want to talk about it.
To me, it's not a secret. I have free videos on my website. Oh, I can plug that, can I?
Right. That's what I'm saying. If you want to plug it, go for it. Here's your chance.
I maintain a hypnotist resource website. It's got a lot of great free information. It's got the model I use, how and why, whatever. I've got videos on there showing the things that I went through, and even some of the videos that I made when I was gathering my data. And you can check it out. And one of the things I do on there is the what I call the expectancy induction. I created an induction that was nothing but pure expectancy and following the rule of three. So there's 3 suggestions that makes it in the way I like to do it, because I normally do it in public or, whatever, is I'll ask them, how about if I hypnotize your arm while you watch? And people go, while I watch? Yeah, you can watch it happen. And they go, ooh, okay. Yeah, I found it was a lot more enticing to the subject to check it out, since they weren't going to be hypnotized, just their arm was. How are you going to just hypnotize my arm? So, and here it is for those that want it. In a moment, I'm going to say the name of a color. When I do, you're going to notice, okay, we usually have them pick their arm first and don't lean their weight on it and all that stuff. Put it someplace where you can just relax. When I say this color, you're going to notice that your left arm is going to relax and it's going to start feeling pretty heavy. Well, it's going to feel good. Is that okay? Again, I get okay after everything. Yeah. Okay. Watchdog says okay.
I do too, because that's what you're sort of testing as you're going. Because how do you know if it's working if you're not getting feedback from them?
Okay. Yeah. And I have them, when you feel it, nod your head. Give me feedback. Or just say, I feel it. They go, okay. So I said, so when I say this color, you're going to notice your arm's going to get heavier and more relaxed, and it's going to feel really good. When you feel it, let me know by saying, I feel it. Okay. Are you ready? Yes. Color, green, whatever. And then you wait. And something that nobody ever tells you is that the watchdog or the filtering system, our natural protection, whatever, takes a few moments. Okay, I have found between 5 and 15 seconds is the norm. You have to wait for it.
Critical to wait for it.
Critical. Let them tell you. If 15, 20 seconds go by, they're not letting you know anything, ask them. So you feeling that? And they'll tell you, no, I'm not. Or, yeah, oh, yeah, that's right, I was supposed to tell you. So then once you get a affirmation, which is what that is, then you provide the second suggestion. Okay, in a moment, I'm going to say another color. When I do, you're going to notice that your left arm becomes much heavier, much more relaxed, and feels much better. Is that okay? Yeah. Are you ready? Yeah. Blue. Okay. Yeah. And then I said, monitor your arm. Let me know when you feel that. Let me know by saying, I feel it. And they'll sit there and they go, I feel it. Okay. 3rd time's the charm. Okay. Now, this time, I'm going to say one more color. When I do, you're going to notice that your left arm becomes so totally and completely relaxed, so utterly heavy, it's not going to want to move. As a matter of fact, you're going to notice the harder you try to move that arm, the more it's just going to sit there and do nothing, and the deeper in trance it's going to take you. So, is that okay? Yeah. Are you ready? Yeah. Purple. And monitor your arm, and when you're absolutely sure that it is so totally, completely relaxed, so utterly heavy that it won't move, I want you to try and move it. And I want you to give it a good try. But you're going to notice the harder you try to move that arm, the more it's just going to sit there and do nothing, and the deeper in trance it's going to take you. Well, let me know when you're done testing. And I've had people do, And I'll tell them, use your other arm, try and pick it up, And I said, is that cool? And they're going, yeah. They don't realize they're hypnotized, But
right.
The fastest way, okay, that was the expectancy induction. Pure expectancy gets you there. That to me is pretty solid evidence that I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and if you're not getting that confirmation in the beginning, I don't even proceed until
Hey,
the
if they're not
following
reacting to it, you got to
little,
find out what's wrong and
right.
fix it.
Yeah, because then
Okay.
you're just going to encounter resistance the whole way. It's going to really be
Okay.
a hard
Here's
session.
what you do. What do you do when you need to shift gears? In other words, the induction you're using isn't doing it. Oh my God, what do I do? Okay. Every induction is not going to work on every, and I've run across people that they call, the expectancy induction doesn't work.
Right.
That's
I just
okay.
shift inductions immediately and just don't even let them know what I'm doing.
Yeah. Well, the absolute easiest, other than like a shock induction, which you got to set them up for anyway,
Yeah.
the absolute easiest way to hypnotize anybody is through visualization. The reason why, if you go by my definition, focus of attention inside, imagination providing what you're experiencing, that's it. In order to visualize, where does your focus of attention have to be? What's got to be providing it? Okay, there's your hypnotic trance state. So, a visualization induction, and I hope this is okay to talk about this. I guess we're just talking shop, like you said. Visualization induction. Yeah, is having them. I normally ask them, if you were to take a vacation, to go de-stress, detox, just relax, where would it be for you? Would it be the mountains? Would it be the seashore? Where would it be? And you'd be surprised because there is no generic. One guy's on my back porch, and somebody else in my basement. But some people, pick the beach or the mountain or whatever they pick. Get a mental image of what that would look like. Let me know when you have it. Okay. Okay, I got it. And we'll cover people that have problems visualizing in a minute. Most people can. Some of them don't know they can. Anyway, so I have them, okay, give me, it's the beach, all right? So what time of day is it there? And they tell me, okay? What's the temperature out? They tell me. Now I'm getting sensory feedback that the imagination has to provide.
I do the same thing. You kind of VACOG them there.
Yeah. Is there any clouds in the sky? I'm getting feedback around. Look up and down the beach, anybody else there, any waves coming in, birds, sounds. Okay, once I do at least 3 of those, then I suggest, okay, nearby you're going to notice a small structure, shed, shack, beach house, okay, changing room. And I want you to go over to it and stand in front of the front door. Let me know when you're there. Now, that is me giving them a direct suggestion, and they go, okay, I'm there. They just followed. Okay, when you open the door, step inside, you're going to notice that it appears to be much larger on the inside than it appears it possibly could be from the outside. But you're feeling feelings of comfort and security coming from there. It feels really good in there. It smells good, even some decent music playing. So you head inside and you realize that this is your safe and special place. You're going to find a chair there that you can sit down and have a good time. More importantly, over on the side, you're going to notice that there's a trash can with a lid. I'm going to ask you to go over to that trash can, lift the lid off of it, and let me know when you've done that. So they go over to okay, I'm there. And I say, now you realize that since this is your safe and special place, no negative feelings or emotions are allowed in here.
And I call it a happy place.
Yeah, you call it whatever you want.
Right.
But this is the trash receptacle for any negative feelings or emotions that you might have brought with you. If you look inside the trash can, you're going to notice there's a green glow on the inside. You're going to realize you can take any of those negative feelings and emotions, you can throw them in the trash. When you see them hit that green glow, they're going to disappear. You're actually going to feel them leave, and then you're going to realize to your delight that they really are gone. Okay, now what did I do right there? I gave them 3 suggestions.
Mm.
You'll see it happen, you'll feel it happen, and then you realize it's happened. Okay? So go ahead and throw some of those, throw those negative feelings, get rid of any of that anxiety, angst, fear, rage, whatever it is. See yourself throwing it in that trash can and watch it hit that green glow and disappear. Again, reinforcing or compounding, I should say. And feel it leave and then realize, oh my God, it really is gone. And when you're sure you've dumped it all, put the lid back on the trash can, turn your back to it, and let me know when you've done that. But take your time, dump it all, I'll wait. And I get people, man, they'll go for 5 minutes. And then finally it's, oh, okay, I'm done.
Yeah,
well,
and everybody's going to take different amounts of time to get
they
their junk
are.
out.
But the important part is after they've done that, they're mine. Okay, now it's time to show them that they're mine.
I like that. They're mine.
So what I do is I tell them, okay, now there's kind of an empty area left where all that negative stuff was, isn't there? And they all go, well, let's fill that up with what should have been there in the first place, all the positive feelings and emotions. Fill it up with happiness, with joy, with self-esteem, self-confidence, positive mental attitude, even happy experiences from the past. Keep putting those positive feelings and emotions in there until that area actually overflows. And you're going to know it overflows because when it does, it's going to feel so good you won't be able to help but smile. Once again, I get an affirmation. And you see them, they go, some of them bust out laughing. Right. Okay, I said, boy, that does feel good, doesn't it? Yeah. Okay, go ahead and open your eyes. All right, this is what hypnosis feels like. Okay, this is where I ask you if you'd like an example of you automatically reacting to suggestion. I can stick your arm to the armrest because it float in the air, lock your eyelids closed, arm is a steel bar. Does any of that interest you? Proof of hypnosis? Or would you just like to get to work? And it's about 50-50. Some of them don't care. Okay, I don't care either. But someone want to see it. Okay, which one would you like? Like I said, they're already hypnotized, and I get verification.
I love the way you're doing this because it takes the pressure off of you as the hypnotist. It takes the onus off of you. It puts it on them. They do all the work, right?
I'm just telling them what to do,
right?
I tell them that in my pre-talk too. I says I got no special power. I'm not psychic at all, and not even very lucky. All I can do is tell you what to do to yourself. I can't make you do it. That's why it's you and me working together. Right. I can't make you do it. It's you can fight and win every time. Yeah. Anyway, so back to what we were doing here.
So we built the positive resources.
And I tell them, you might notice now that your center of your field of vision is still very clear, but now it's blurry around the outside. And they go, yeah. I said, that's your peripheral awareness shutting down. You only have where your attention's focused. And they go, wow, that's cool. And the thing about it is, I used to go, okay, now look, and what do you notice? This is how I found this out. Okay. And they go, I'm seeing okay, but it's real blurry, and I thought, what the hell? So then I did it on myself, or I had somebody hypnotize me, and I opened my eyes and I went, oh my God, there it is. Mm-hmm. Well, what's happening now? No peripheral awareness.
I've had that reported. I've had reported where when you get them deep enough into hypnosis, if you open their eyes at that time, they'll report that there's like fog or smoke, like they can't see at all. It's like foggy or smoky.
Well, here's what depth of trance is all about. It's how aware we are of ourselves and our surroundings. Right. Okay. Yeah, as Dale state,
how dissociated we are, right?
They keep shrinking it down, our awareness down, until finally we're not aware at all.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. You don't need that for to do what I do or clinical. Okay. As a matter of fact, I would rather have feedback from them, but you can take them down.
You can do it with feedback, but as my students know,
yeah, I like to ask the expert. Yeah. So anyway, that's your once you have them there in a hypnotic trance, they're automatically reacting to suggestion. Okay. I mean, there's your only yardstick that's reliable. then you are literally describing their reality for them. They've already accepted. They've already accepted it. They've already responded to it. So whatever you describe is what's real for them, and it's what their body will adapt to, providing the two conditions exist.
Right.
Okay?
And so now you can give them direct suggestions. You can future pace them at this point. Pretty much anything.
Well, I found that success as far as giving suggestions. Suggestions, there's two kinds of direct suggestion. There is just the, you feel this now. Or there's the, when I do this, you'll feel that.
Okay.
That's what I call the cause and effect mechanism. Okay. Trigger.
Yeah.
Those actually work better. The cause and effect mechanism type of suggestion.
Okay.
Work better than just telling them, do this now.
Oh,
okay.
All right. I just learned something new. I did not realize that. So
and again, that's by years of research. And I even figured out why is because then they know there's expectancy involved again. When I say this, I haven't said it yet, but I'm gonna, right?
Light bulbs are going off in my head.
And then they know how to react, and then they're just again waiting for the go signal. That's why they work better. Again, 30%, they want this. They really like it. But that's the deal. When they're hypnotized, you're describing their reality for them. The other thing I'd like to talk about for a moment, if I could, and share, we might have talked about this between us already, is about rapport. What rapport really is. Now I know NLP guys like to have breathe together and all these things like that, and that gets them to accept you. Well, what if you didn't need that? The metaphor I like to use is, I ask if you live in a house or apartment, and we'll just say house. I come up, knock on the front door, and I said, this is your lucky day. If you go out in the backyard, you're going to find a large yellow rock. Underneath that yellow rock is a $50 bill that you get to keep. I'm just going to ask you to go check it out and verify it. And you're going to go, hey, it's my backyard. There ain't no yellow rock out there. You've got all this resistance, right? Just give me shut the door, lock it, so I can't get in, but go check it out. You'll be pleasantly surprised. Oh, all right. So they close the door and lock it. They go out in the backyard, and by God, there's a yellow rock out there. They go over to that yellow rock, pick it up. There's a $50 bill. And they go, and I get to keep this. So they bounce back to the front door, open it up. There I am. They show me the $50. They said, I like this game. So then I said, well, if you like that game, then, hey, now there's a blue rock in your backyard. Underneath, it's another 50. This time, their resistance to go check it out is in half. Again, the rule of threes, right? Is in half. They go check it out. Oop, there's the blue rock. Oop, there's another 50 under it, and they really like this game. So they come back to the front door, $100 in hand, and I say, okay, great. This time, one more time, there's going to be a red rock out there, and under that red rock's a $100 bill. Their resistance to checking that out is 0. Already done it twice successfully. I'm going to go check it. I want my 100. You told me it's there. I believe you. So 3 repetitions, rule of threes, and we have perfect rapport. And I found out that because of that, rapport is basically just a confidence level. There's no hidden agenda. That's all. People.
They trust that you're going to do what you say you're going to do.
Exactly. It's a safety concern. When a client comes, I don't go through big rapport thing. I give them the pre-talk, let them know what they can expect. This is what you're supposed to do. I'm going to do this. I'll get your approval first. Never had a rapport problem.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I did, however, for the first time in Missouri, I had a self-hypnosis class. Somebody called up, and I'd still had it on my website from when I did it down in Fort Worth. And when I do a self-hypnosis class, I teach them 5 seconds of somnambulism.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, I hypnotize them, let them, experience what hypnosis is like, and then I show them how to go there all by themselves in less than 15 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And so they can do that. Then I show them how to give themselves suggestions and all this other neat stuff, and they're real happy. I actually use the sleep command, which I never do in my clinical deal.
Mm-hmm.
I used the sleep command on this girl, and she just looked at me. And I said, "What's going on?" She goes, "I just really wasn't comfortable going to sleep in a stranger's basement."
Yeah.
Okay, what's that say, right?
Right.
But on the same token, when I said, "Okay, picture the beach,"
Mm-hmm.
all this other stuff, man, she's right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And she would, instantly complying. So that's what rapport really is, a confidence level that there's no hidden agenda.
That's why the 2 keys of a really good pre-talk, and I think I learned this from Orman McGill, is to first remove fear, and then second set up expectation.
Okay.
So as long as you remove fear and set up expectation, then everything else you do in your pre-talk, whatever. But that's sort of the main components that you need there.
I just saw a comment. I didn't read it before. I just saw it there.
Comment. I was waiting for you to get through. And I'm sorry I can't read who you are. This is not coming up in my feed, but somebody out there is saying we have some people that insist they cannot visualize. So what?
Sure. Okay. So that means they don't dream. They've never had a dream in their life. See, because that's the big misnomer when dealing with visualization. People who have problems visualizing are trying to see with their eyes. Okay, they close their eyes. All right, now see this. And they're going, I just see blackness. Why? They're looking at the back of their eyelids.
Right.
Okay? It's the dream camera. Remember the last dream you had. See if you can't get one of those images back. Oh, you can visualize.
Or I guess I'll say, describe your front door of your house.
Now, sometimes, because they are still trying to see with their eyes, they can describe their front door from memory. Okay. But that's the big deal when they say, visualize means visual, see. Mm-hmm. Nobody tells them, no, it's the dream camera. It's the different one. Mm-hmm. Okay. And I actually help people. I don't need them to visualize. I've got several different ways to do it. But I tell them it's really cool to be able to do, and practice makes perfect. Okay. Right. But if you dream, you got the capability. It could be something's preventing you from doing it. Who knows? But the bottom line is, capability's there. It's what the imagination does. Mm-hmm. So those that insist they can't means they're doing it wrong. Okay. Or trying to do it wrong because they don't understand.
They're trying too hard.
Well, no. One of the ways I say to do it is, okay, try and look through your eyes, then back up inside your head until you'll get a full screen image. Mm-hmm. That works for some people. Okay.
And I'll say imagine, visualize, or pretend. So then that gives them whatever.
Well, if you're doing a pretend, you're saying lie.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Okay, so I don't say pretend. I actually did for a while. I heard that and checked it out, and I found out no, it means that they can lie to me.
Okay. See, I'm learning a lot of information from you, John.
Well, I mean, I used to get, with people with the expectancy induction, right? Mm-hmm. And I'd get them to test their arm, and they just pick their arm right up. And I didn't used to be as diplomatic as I am now. And I said, well, at what point did you start lying at me? And they'll go, oh, well, I really didn't feel that. And you said you did, like I said, I do. I put it on them because that's where it belongs. If I'm saying the right things, then they're not, and they're not following my instructions. I can't make them do it. But the bottom line is, I'm holding up my end.
Right. Yeah.
So, there people will come to you what?
Well, how can you say that in a diplomatic way? Because I know a lot of people would feel uncomfortable saying that.
Okay.
So what would be the diplomatic way?
The diplomatic way? At what point did you have problems following my instructions?
Okay.
Okay. At what point did you not experience what you told me you experienced?
Right.
Okay. Well, I didn't want to hurt your feelings. I said, you're going to pay me this amount of money not to hurt my feelings?
Yeah, not to hurt your feelings. Yeah,
Okay.
I've had that happen too.
Okay, if you could visualize, if you could visualize, what would it look like?
That's what one of the viewers.
Okay.
If you could visualize, what would it look like if you could visualize?
TV. You're doing first person. Normally, or just like watching a movie. That's what we learn through the inputs of TVs and movies. That's what we learn that visual representations are. So it's either you seeing yourself doing it, or you watching yourself or somebody else, or whatever the situation is. But most of the time it's first person. Most of the time it's there's a movie out that was done entirely in first person, like you were looking out his eyes. And I didn't like the movie.
I think what he was meaning by that was that, or she, I can't tell who's commenting. I'm so sorry, I can't see your names. But I think what they're saying is, this is what they say to their client. If their client says they can't visualize, then they would say, well, if you could visualize, what would that look like? So it was kind of tricking them.
Oh, I see. Yeah. But the thing about it is, if they're trying to look through their eyes and see stuff, and they say, if you could, I don't know.
Yeah.
I have no clue.
You might get a lot of I don't knows. What if they say, I don't remember.
It was shadows at midnight.
Or I don't. Yeah, but surely they've dreamed before. So even if they say they don't dream, they've had dreams. Yeah. Even if they remember them. So.
But that's the majority of people have. Like I said, there are no absolutes. There is no 100% of everybody can visualize.
Yes,
there's somebody who's never going to be able to figure it out. Okay. Bottom line is, we don't need visualization. It just makes things a lot easier. Just means that their imagination is much more capable.
Yeah.
So, and there are those who don't want to follow your instructions. They don't, I don't get those very often. One of the things I learned to do with my stop smoking intervention was ask them, is this something you really want to do? Not someone else trying to make you do or force you to do. I usually do that on the phone.
The very first question I ask. I ask that on the phone. I don't even want them coming into the office if they're not 100%.
Well, I learned to do that, when I had this guy show up at my office. I'd been hypnotist about 3 years. He shows up in my office, stopped smoking. The appointment had been made by his mother. And he says, good old country boy. He says, walks in my office, says, my wife and my mama says I need to quit smoking, so here I am. And I said, do you want to quit smoking? He goes, hell no. So I went, tell him it didn't work. Cool. And he was gone.
Awesome. And you got paid for it? And
well, no, I didn't. I don't take money if I don't deliver.
Okay.
That's one of the. See, that was the whole reason that I went to 2 sessions. I want to make sure that I'm being effective. Okay?
Yeah, definitely.
I get, for a business model, I get paid for 2 sessions instead of 1 for pretty much everything. Mm-hmm. But I'd also, I'm going to do my thing during the first session, but then I let them test drive it. Everybody loves that. Then, okay, smoker, you got 2 to 3 days, let's make a second appointment now. If you happen to get a craving, and this is what kicks ass over every other stop smoking thing there is. If you get a craving or withdrawal symptom, I'm going to tell you to go ahead and light up. Don't go go nuts on anybody. Just write down what you were doing. Write down what the trigger was. We'll take care of it during the second session. That's why I do too. And that gives them this deal. Well, I ain't going to smoke. I'm going to smoke. But then, their list that I asked them to bring in only had like 6 items on it. And they've been smoking for 30 years. Well, guess they missed a few triggers.
Yeah.
So anyway, but I tell them because it won't screw up what we've already done, which is a big load off their mind. If I smoke, it's not, I've just wasted my money. So I said, no, this is about being successful. Okay. If you need to do it, don't go, if you wanted withdrawal symptoms, you wouldn't have come to me. But just write down what you're doing. In the meanwhile, if you hit it, don't resume your old behavior, of course, but, just to tide you over. And I've had clients call me. I had one lady call me in tears. I don't think I'm going to show up for my second session. Why? I've been smoking. And I says, well, wait a minute. How many cigarettes have you had since 3 days ago? She goes, 4. And I said, you smoked 1.5 packs, 2 packs a day for, 20 years? And you had 4 cigarettes in the last 3 days and you think that's bad, huh? Well, I said, what was happening when, what were you doing when you got the craving? Oh, it was when I put on my makeup. I said, wait a minute, that wasn't on your list. Oh, you're right. I said, it's just a trigger we missed. That's fine. Let's know. Another. Tell
the viewers too how they can get their hands on your smoking cessation protocol if they want.
It's all available. Oh yeah, I meant to plug it before, and I guess I didn't.
Yeah.
Maintain the hypnotist resource website, wizardoftrance.com. I'm
gonna write this.
All spelled out, all lowercase.
Wizardoftrance.com. And it's really cheap. I mean, not cheap. I'm going to say affordable. It's really affordable.
Well, that was the idea behind the whole website. Provide a great deal of free information so that people can kind of start to understand what they're doing. But also, because nobody's got any money when they're starting out, give them something that's reliable and dependable as far as a moneymaker. Most expensive thing I got are $35.
Right, $35 is the most.
One expensive. Client buys 5,
And that's like really affordable. That's even cheap compared to my standards. So I think, and you really could be charging a lot more.
That was the idea. When I found out how poor the training was out there.
Yeah.
What these hypnotists were trying to opt the knowledge these hypnotists were trying to make a living with, I realized no, and they got any money. They've already been bilked by, all of these expensive things that they went to go to. I won't say bilked, that's a wrong term, but they've already been educated by these very expensive $2,000-$3,000 things that they've done and still can't quite figure out what they're doing wrong. That's why I created it.
Double, triple, quadruple it, and it'd be worth every penny of it. So
well, still, the goal was to provide reliable tools because when they're successful, we all get successful.
That's very true.
So that's very true. That one, my weight loss intervention. Everybody's got their own weight loss intervention. Mine's very effective. It again puts a lot of the power with the client, but I address the things that need to be addressed as far as if they're going to change something. In order to lose weight, you got to change what you're doing. Einstein said it. Keep doing. Insanity is not changing anything and expecting to something to change.
Expecting different results. Different results. Yeah.
So we have to change something.
Right. Absolutely.
Oh, and the other thing, I don't know how much time we have.
Well, there's no time limit, but it's been about 2 hours, so we'll just say last thoughts and then we'll wrap it up here.
Okay, I only got like an hour and 10 minutes, but.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was an hour. I've been. I had an interview earlier with Selena, so it's been 2 hours for me.
I would like to talk for a minute about pain.
Okay, we can go until for 20 more minutes, but then I have to go because I got to get
this won't take 20 minutes.
Okay.
But pain is a very real, very marketable thing to do. Okay. And I wanted to share a technique. This is for chronic pain.
Okay.
In other words, pain that doesn't have a legitimate reason to still be there.
Right.
Okay. It will actually work on other kinds of pain. Again, pain is just a warning signal that the imagination's providing. So consequently, we can change it. We don't have to remove a pain if it's providing some sort of function. Like if a doctor's using it for a yardstick and stuff, we don't want to mess with that. Always make sure this type of thing to where the doctors have thrown up their hands and said, take these for the pain, live with it. And it's literally a variation of manager's meeting, except it doesn't take people into trance first. This is something that takes like less than 3 minutes. I'll tell you the story behind it. I went to Adjacent's Deli down in Fort Worth and one lunch, right? I got a sandwich and a salad bar, and the girl behind the cash register said that there's now pickles on the salad bar. Cool. So I go down there and I get my salad and I'm looking, I don't see any pickles. So I decided she lied to me. I went back up, said, you lied to me. There's no pickles on that salad bar. And she says, well, we'll go see. She comes out from behind that cash register with this limp and wincing with every step she's taken. I felt about this big. I followed her all the way down to the salad bar. And come to find out the pickles were there.
Oops.
So I really felt this big. So I decided, okay, you're limping, you're wincing. I asked her about it. I said, what's going on? I said, I noticed it kind of hurts you to walk. I'm sorry to make you walk. She goes, hey, I got to make a living. And, when you tell me something ain't right, I got to make sure it's right, So I said, if, what's going on? She says, 5 years ago, I was in a traffic accident. My hip was crushed. They did the best they could. It's healed. It's not going to heal anymore, but it still hurts every time I walk. And all they can do is give me these pills. And I take the pills and then I get too fuzzy headed. I can't work. So I grin and bear it during the day and then take my pills at night. And I said, if we could change that signal to one that was not uncomfortable to experience, but you still knew what it meant to be careful, would that be okay? He goes, well, yeah. I said, would you agree if we changed this to a more comfortable signal to treat the new signal with the same amount of caution and respect you did to the painful one? She goes, yeah. I said, okay. And I just talked right to her midsection. I said, part of so-and-so, and I had to ask her her name, that is providing this pain signal that she's experiencing when she walks. I'm going to suggest that the healing is complete. The reason for the pain is now erroneous. Okay. It no longer is a caution for her. You're actually punishing her.
It's a false alarm.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask that you change that to something more comfortable for her to experience, to make up for what you've been doing. So you'll actually be a benefit for her.
Excuse me, may I interrupt you for a moment before you go on? Did you do an induction on her, or are you just talking?
No.
Are you talking to that part of her?
Just talking to her.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. All right,
that's what I said. Without hypnosis, quote unquote, being involved.
Okay.
Then I just talked to the part, because the reason for parts therapy or manager's meeting or whatever you need is to get the feedback.
Yeah.
I don't need the feedback. I want you to change it. You show them. Okay. So I told her, okay, now if you would take a few steps and notice the new pain feeling and let me know if that's comfortable enough. So she took a few steps. Her eyes got about this big. She goes, yeah, it's just kind of a tingling now. I said, is that comfortable enough? Would you like more? I found out all this stuff is adjustable. And she goes, no, this will be fine. What was that?
Did you at least tell her you're a hypnotist before you began working
Well,
with
I did.
her?
Yeah, I gave her my card.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Okay.
Okay.
And actually, I gave her my card afterwards because she asked me how I was able to do this. And I said, here's my card. So she
Oh,
didn't know I was hypnotist
you
going
didn't
in.
know. Okay.
Okay.
Fascinating.
I didn't know if it was going to work.
You don't know what you were doing with her.
Yeah.
You're like,
So
okay,
I just
this
wanted to do
crazy old
something,
man
you know,
over
and
here.
that's what I did. Anyway, so I kept stopping by every now and then, you know, a month or so to have a sandwich in there. If she was working, I'd say, how's it going? She says, fine. After 5 years, I hadn't been there 2-3 years.
Mhm.
After 5 years, I went back and she was still there. And I said, hey, how's it going? She says, I don't feel it at all now.
Ooh.
So
Yay.
literally it was less than 3 minutes. Okay. So like I said, and I didn't do any kind of induction. I didn't do,
That's the
but
greatest part about our jobs, right? This is the
yeah.
greatest part when
Well,
we can
since then,
really help people.
I had a lady who had stage 4 cancer, had decided to stop the chemo, just going to get the best quality of life she could, what time she had left. But the chemo had left her retching, throwing up every 2 to 3 minutes. Every 2 to 3 minutes, anything. She'd take a sip of water, boom, it's coming back. Been like that for 2 weeks. She's losing
Goodness.
weight, you know, like crazy. And how do you hypnotize someone that every 2 to 3 minutes they got to stop and use a barf bag?
Right. Yeah. How do you get them centered?
Yeah, okay.
Right.
So, and I thought about the comfort adjustment technique. I said, well, if that worked for that, maybe it'll work for this.
Yeah.
So I tried it. I said, I talked to the part of, I forget what her name was, the part that's making her retch. I said, there was a reason for that when she was on the chemo drugs. We understand that it was an invasion on the body, and it was understand that your reaction was perfectly normal and what you should have done. But she stopped taking the drugs for over 2 weeks now, and there's no drugs left in her system. So instead of being the benefit that you were intended to be, you are now being the punishment. So I'm going to ask you to stop making a retch and start being the benefit that I know that you want to be.
Ooh, I love that. I like that language.
Yeah. Well, and I'll explain that in a minute. Anyway, so if you would, go ahead and stop that and let her experience not having to retch every few minutes. I stayed in for the next 2 hours, talking to her, making sure, nothing. So her husband walks me out and she tells him, give him a $50 tip. I said, no. So he walks me out and we're standing on the front porch. He says, I have been a psychiatrist for 40 years. I've never seen anything like that.
Love it.
So much. You know, it makes you feel real good. That's why I do it, right?
Yeah,
I always will. But that worked too.
Yeah, because it makes you feel good when you can make others feel good, and we have the tools.
When you stop and think, though, that all I did was I talked directly to the part of them through their conscious mind.
Yeah.
Okay, and got reaction. That lets us know that part of us is always aware.
Mm-hmm.
And we only have to do a manager's meeting or whatever when we need feedback to make sure that they're going to get on the bandwagon.
And this is what I tell my students too. The subconscious is always awake, always aware, always listening to what you're saying. They don't have to be in trance for the subconscious to know what you're saying, to understand you. So, and the reason for the depth of trance that I do is just so I can get accurate feedback from the subconscious through the dialogue, through their voice box. But it's not needed to affect change. It doesn't matter at the depth of trance. As long as you're talking to the subconscious in a way where, like you said, it understands what you're doing and it has no reason not to, right? Then it can totally work.
Well, that was the one other thing I wanted to cover. I mentioned punishment a few times. I found out the base purpose of our behaviors, the managers of our behaviors, if you will, is to be a benefit to us. That's why they were created.
Right.
They're supposed to be for our benefit.
Yeah.
It's,
Usually a coping mechanism of some sort.
but the thing about it is, we understand and accept punishment also. We punish ourselves.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's because mom and dad, told us that you've done bad. The only way you're going to feel better is if we punish you, because then you've paid for it. Sometimes it's that. Sometimes it's I'm not worthy and I need to be punished. Somebody at some point in their line, some point in their life, has been punished, and they know what it is. It's an understood concept. But nobody wants to be the bad guy. Nobody wants to be the one who's punishing someone erroneously on purpose.
Oh, right. Okay. I hear.
Okay.
I'm following you.
So if you bring up the fact that that's what they're doing, oh, I am. Oh no, let me change.
Yeah.
And they will.
Okay. That makes
Stop
sense.
punishing.
Unless they're just sadistic to begin with, but that's not the
Well, and
majority.
I've even run across that. And I'll ask the person, is this part of you that you want to hang on to? Part of you that wants you to fail? Part of you that wants you to hurt? Part of you that wants you to not succeed? Okay, wants you to be punished? You want to keep this part? If not, then let's get rid of it.
Yeah.
Amazing stuff. I am the one describing your reality. You want this part gotten rid of? I'm the guy.
Right. Absolutely. That's fabulous. And we got a comment from the viewer say that they just got two, I guess, of your books. I just got two books, so it must have been your books. This
Nature of Trance and Hypnosis Mechanica.
Yep.
I've been trying, actually not very hard, to put together a third book, and that's my compendium.
Okay.
That'll have everything in it, and I've learned so much. I mean, the Nature of Trance was written, back in 08 or 09, and I updated it once in 2009, 2010. Hypnosis Mechanica was like 2010, 2011. So that's, many years old, but it's still good information.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just, I've come a long ways since then myself.
Yeah.
But as far as rudimentary, which there was meant to be, an understanding of hypnosis itself rather than interventions, I included the managers meeting in with Hypnosis Mechanica. Or did I? One of them I did.
Mm.
No, not the managers meeting. The something else. I included a few things, as part of the deal, addendums or whatever. But yeah, it's because to me, in order to be very effective with hypnosis, you've got to understand it. You got to understand what makes what work. What's cause and effect.
Absolutely. We have a comment from one of the viewers who says, I don't understand. I'm not sure what you're not understanding. If that's acceptable, I am working with some guilt issue. Can you please put into words for me what I should do to let go?
Actually, that's relatively easy. If you can visualize, I want you to get a mental image of that guilt feeling. And if you can make it into an object, what kind of an object would you make it into? Okay, that's the simple question.
So you're objectifying the guilt?
Yeah, create an object out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Get rid of the object.
Yeah, and then just
an example was a pain issue. Okay, if you could create it, make an object out of it, what would it be? And they said bomb. It's like a bomb going off. So I said, okay, see yourself taking that bomb, describe it. Is it a black one? Is it round? Is it, what's it look like? And then once we had that, see yourself putting it on the head of the biggest skyrocket you've ever seen. Light that skyrocket off. Watch it go up and explode. And all the pretty colors and greatest firework thing you've ever seen in your life. And that's what happened to your pain. And now, do you hurt? No.
Or your anxiety, or your fear, or your guilt, or whatever emotion you're having.
Whatever unwanted feeling or emotion.
If it's not serving a purpose.
Well, I use the pretty much identical technique for my stop smoking clients. I tell them on the phone, bring me 3 things, the 2 lists, and bring me the biggest craving for a cigarette you can bring me. So don't smoke for at least 4 hours before you show up. And the reason why I want that is because within the first 2 minutes of you being in my office, I'm going to remove that craving so you don't want a cigarette at all. There's 15 different ways to stop smoking, and you tried probably a couple of them, and you knew at least one person that each one of those ways worked, but it never worked for you. So this way, this is going to show you how effective this will be for you up front before you spend any money, waste any time. If for some reason I can't do it, you can turn right around, walk out, buy patches or something. But if I can, you're going to know you're in the right place doing the right thing. People like that. Mm-hmm. So when they show up, they bring me your craving. Yeah, it's the same thing. Here's the deal for that. Close your eyes. Get a mental image of the craving. Show me with your hands how big it is. Okay? Hold that image. If you could apply a color to it, what color would it be? Black. Is that a solid black or a transparent black? Solid. If you were to pick it up, would it be heavy or light? Heavy. Is the surface of it rough or smooth? Rough. Okay, take this object as we've described it. See yourself putting it into a strong box. Seal the box closed using any method you're absolutely sure it cannot be opened. Lock it, chain it, weld it, whatever. Just let me know when you've done it. Yeah? Push the box, get the box away from you. Open your eyes. Do you want a cigarette? No. Why? I just described their reality. I created a hypnotic trance state by having them visualize, and then they objectified their pain or cigarette craving or whatever. Okay, applied physics to it, or made it an object, put the object in the box, got rid of the box, to the body, to the new reality. It's gone.
And this viewer is saying, what if I'm not visual? We actually kind of went over that earlier in the interview, so you might want to rewind it later and watch our reactions to that, or how we responded to that, because we have to go in a couple of minutes here. This is going to be the last comment that I'm taking, and then I've got to end the show because I've got to go pick up my kids, y'all. Okay. The last comment is, I'm doing that with EFT, yet guilt so deep, and the subconscious looks to hold on to the punishment, I think is what you're saying. Hold for punishment.
Yeah. Punishment is justified. Okay. We know that's not the case, but that's what it thinks is the case. And this is I've had this happen before and encountered it before. The bottom line is, 9 chances out of 10, the reason for the justification of the punishment is erroneous. Okay. But it's just that part of you didn't know that time goes by, situations change, or that it had erroneous data going in. As humans, we make mistakes.
Right. And sometimes it's just about doing a little bit of self-forgiveness with them too.
And your EFT tapping, I went through that. Basically, that's just cause and effect mechanism. When I do this, this is what happens. Just saying. So you're literally giving yourself suggestions and incorporating a belief system that if I do this, I'm going to realize change. Okay, it works if you like tapping. That's fine. Like I said, I went through the EFT craze, went back when it was first being deal until I finally analyzed it and found out what was really going on. But for doing it on yourself, why not? But if there's some reason, then you're going to need a hypnotist, and you're going to need, in my opinion, you're going to need to find out why it won't let go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and clear that out first.
That's the value to me of the managers meeting. Mm-hmm. Is that tells me why. Right. Because when I know why, then I can fix it.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. John Cleesattel, thank you so much for being my honored guest. I always enjoy talking to you. I learned so much from you, and I know that people watching this now and on the replay, they're going to get a lot of value. They've already gotten a lot of value.
So. I've always been about helping people understand hypnosis. And, you know, if you go to seasoned hypnotists who do you think you are? I don't know. The Brits, I guess, have been around a monarchy too long. You know, they're always looking for people who think they're better than they are. And they'll tune out anything if they think that's what they're, running into. I tried presenting all this stuff on one of their forums, and that was pretty much the response I got. Who do you think you are? Yeah, didn't matter that
you're just.
I told them check it out.
Yeah, and that's what I love about you, John, is that you give away so much free information, which you really could be charging for real. Just out of the goodness of your own heart, because you want hypnosis to be good for everybody. You want everyone to improve their hypnosis. Because what's good for hypnosis is good for hypnosis. It helps everyone.
It does. If we're effective at what we do, our credibility goes way up, and we get a lot more customers.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm surprised just from what I've done down here. I'm getting referrals.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm not really surprised. It's pretty normal, but with my limited advertising, I'll sign in the front lawn of my website. That's most. A lot of people don't even know I exist.
You're good. You're getting word of mouth referrals because you're good, and what you do is working. And I get about 50% word of mouth, and then maybe 50% advertising, website, whatever. But yeah. So absolutely. All right, I have got to run. I could talk to you forever. We could just keep going.
I understand.
I could talk shop, until the cows come home, but I do have to go get my children. If I didn't have to do that, we would keep talking longer, but would love to have you on again sometime in the future. If you would like, just continue.
I love talking about hypnosis.
And yeah, we can talk about whatever we want. Just, and there's Keith Anthony. Hi, Keith Anthony. And he's telling us great show. So thank you for everybody for watching, everybody who left comments, people who are watching on the replay. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for showing up and joining us. I have got to go. I am tripping over my words now. All right. Namaste. Love you. Peace out.
Bye.
Bye.